Right, hello the internet. Let's just make sure I'm getting sound. Yes, I am. And now I've got it coming through on far too many devices. Let's just kill that. There we go. Much confusion. Okay, so last week, where did we get to? We built a basic bot. Except it didn't really do much. It just went to standard in and standard out, which is not all that helpful to start off with. However, let us explore some of the things that we're going to need later on, and also allow us to put together a basic sort of package for the bot to live in. So, one of the issues we had last time was that my machine hit a as Sean described it, spiral of heat death, where as the stream went on, OBS caused things to get hotter and hotter and hotter, and eventually my laptop got CPU limited or thermal throttled. So the stream got a bit jerky. So we'll go over what I was doing near the end of that. Last week we also realised that I can't tell the time, and so intent on finishing on time was I that I didn't realise that I started at 5:30, so I should finish at 7:30, not at 7. But yeah, we will see how it goes this time. Now, hopefully the stream will remain a little bit more stable this time. If it doesn't, there's a few things I can do to give you an idea of what we're looking at here. This little app here tells you what's going on with my machine, and OBS is happily chewing up most of the core, although last week it was doing much more than that. So we may need to make some drastic measures halfway through. We will see. I will rely on chat on YouTube for people to warn me if things are going horribly wrong. What little app? Oh. Let me dun. I keep forgetting that you can't see what I can see necessarily. This little app down here. So OBS has. I've also realised if you can see OBS on the screen, it chews up a whole load of CPU as well. So it should now settle back down to something slightly more realistic. Right, so you can all see what I can see now. Good. And we are going to go over to here, and yes, just quickly go over what we've got already. So we've got our main function, which just turns around and says we want a new reader, something that's going to read in new stuff from our source, which in this case is standard in. Define a bunch of handlers, and then just listen. And do stuff. Our handlers are very basic. We have a handler interface that just tells us handle a message, and that will have to change. And then we've got two very basic things. One echoes the message out to standard out. The other echoes the message out to standard out, but uppercase. So one of the things that last week I really was not keen about was the fact that we've got this package handler, and it has a handler. Now, within Go, it's idiomatic to have an interface where you've got a single function to call that interface function. So handler for a handle function is idiomatic, but handler.handle starts being a bit. I don't know. It just seems to be a bit too much. And I know some of the linters that I use will whinge about the fact that you've got types and functions that share the name of the package. However, I've been thinking about that during the week, and I think we've got some way forward on that. And then we had our reader, which just sits there and listens for text, and a test. Now, Go has this wonderful thing with tests where you can write example code that becomes part of the documentation. In fact, let's go have a little look. Yes. If we go across, as I said last week, Go itself is a horrible word to search for, but we could search for GoLang, and something I've been looking at recently was sorting. So if we go and have a look at the sort package here, you can see we've got examples, and these examples actually come from the source code. So this is a main example, which can be done by using a specific format, but also here we've got examples where we've just got various functions. So these get imported into our documentation, and they become runnable examples of what's going on. They become runnable documentation. So here we're asking for our test to output foo. Enter text and then foo. We expect that to happen. If it happens, then the test passes, so we can run that and all will be good. And if we were to just change this ever so slightly and run it, we could see it fail. So it wanted something and it got something else. So executable tests. We didn't do a test for the handlers yet, but partly because they're all going to get thrown away. What I want to do here is sort of get a feel for how this is all going to hang together and how we can actually make the various bits that we're writing testable without too much reliance on the fact that we're going to be going to a remote API. So, first things first, all this gets done in an issue. So if we quickly whiz over to Safari and go off to Bitbucket, the other thing I'm going to quickly do is just clear this and development bucket Adam Davis. There we go. And we want to go into GoBot. Whoops. Might not use the terminal so much this time because hopefully the terminal down here is readable. I'm just going to look across at my YouTube view, and yes, it seems to be. Right, so Bitbucket would like me to log in. This is annoying. I've been using it all day. Thank God for that. Right, so lots of projects. Created a new project recently called Goats, which is a Go alternative time string formatter. I just like the name. And you can see I've been messing around with other repositories since last week, but what we want to do is go find GoBot. There we are. One of the questions that came up last week was, why do I change the defaults of the repository when I create a new repository? But just to quickly recap on what I did there, all I did was change the main branch to be main. Git by default uses master. There are people who feel that it's an inappropriate term. Personally, I don't mind what it's called, and since main is actually semantically more correct and less characters to type, let's use main. It's not going to upset anyone, it's shorter and it's more semantically correct, so I use main. I also changed the branching model and branching permissions because there's a whole bunch of things I don't use. So bug fix, feature, hotfix, release branches, I don't use them, may as well just turn them off. It doesn't allow you to not have a development branch, but I use main as my production branch, so I just set that to main. And then I created a issue tracker and just said that all commits need to link back to an issue. So nothing major, just little tweaks to match how I like to work. So we got the create basic echo bot. Dun dun dun. I think we did that. Yes, we did. So I'm going to resolve that. Done. All complete. Right, and then I can create a new issue because we have to link it to an issue, and I would like to link the bot, can't spell, the bot to Discord. Now this could easily be Slack or some other system, but Norfolk Developers has a Discord channel, and so it makes sense to put the bot onto Discord. It's me, it's an enhancement, and it's pretty major because the bot's kind of useless without it. so we have issue 2. Sorry, my machine has to be completely moved around in order for me to do these streams, so I can't find anything. Right, so I have my own Git workflow, issue 2. So new is not a Git command, it's a script that I've got that creates a new branch, basically. Checks a couple of things. It's quite simple. Right, so I have somewhere some example code for, actually no, I'll tell you where I got it from. Let's go back here. Sorry, I've just noticed I've closed Sublime and I have no idea what code is open in Sublime if I reopen it again, but we can Discord Go library, because the code I was using, here we go, was under examples, and was the ping pong one, and we'll go main.go, and then we'll look at the raw file, and we'll go copy and paste, because that is all how all great code is written, over to here, and I'm just going to dump it into a file. Now things are going to whinge here. Just for now. So things are going to whinge horribly because there's a whole load of things that are not installed. So let's install the package, sync the dependencies there. If I was doing this on the command line, I would just type in go get -u github.com bwmarin discord go. I don't know about anyone else, but I see Discord Go and I just think of escargot, French for snails, but that may be just me. And we've now got something that is actually complaining less than I thought it would. Right, so there's a couple of warnings that have come up. I've got my ID set to 13 in terms of warnings, so all this is saying is that we've got unhandled errors. In Go, the easiest way to deal with unhandled errors is to just assign them to the unused variable. Well, there's 2 things coming back from that, so we can just do that. There we go. And what was the other one? Up here. So now it's error-free. Now is this going to whinge about the fact we've got 2 mains? I have never done 2 mains before. What happens if we run 2 mains? Let's have a look. It's going to complain. Right, so let's just make this main 2. Then this should run. Does it compile? Does it build? Yes, it does. Fantastic. Now it's errored, authentication failed because we haven't given it a token, we've not run this properly. The code is just the example code that I've pulled from the website. So let's have a look and actually see what's going on. Obvious comment is obvious. Well, I suppose it's not obvious, but it's a bit pointless. Right, we've got a token string, which has been used for flag packages. It's putting things off the command line. So we've obviously got to pass it a token string, and then we need to parse the flag. So one of the things that we need to do is actually set that token string. I think I have rebooted my machine since I last did that. However, let me just I'm going to move the terminal where you can't see it, and I am just going to quickly set an environment variable with my API key. Obviously I don't want my API key to be exposed to the world. If I could just remember where I actually put the API key. Bear with. No one tell Don we can still see the terminal. Right, so we want to export bot token to be the contents of that file, I believe. Let's just check that and make sure it's... Oh, of course, I don't have autocomplete on. It would really help if I knew how to type. Right, excellent. So let's just clear that and bring that down where you can see it. Cool. So we need to be back in the development source bitbucket Davis go bot, and we can go run example .go -t $bot token. Here's hoping. Let's actually just check the code and make sure it's not going to do anything dumb with that token. Just making sure, yeah, the token's only used twice. Cool. I'm making sure I wasn't going to print the token out or anything. I'd hate to have to go off and regenerate. Now, I'll show you in a bit how to get these tokens, but for now, let's just see if we can get this thing to connect. Bot is now running. So if I go across to our Discord channel, not entirely sure who I've got open there. Let's just move you up there and check. And I am on the correct thing. Pop that down there. Right. Damien, what is the little resource monitor at the bottom right of your desktop? It is called... what is it called? I want to say iPulse. I got it a long time ago. It shows all kinds of things to do with disk memory usage and stuff. That lovely little circular widget, but yeah. Anyway, back to Discord. We should have somewhere a bot, he says. No, we do not. Unless it's hidden somewhere. Oh, I think I know why. I'm just wondering, Alex, has the welcome stuff and the need to sign up caused us any particular issues? Oh no, tell a lie, it's there, it's just not under bots. Right, so we have connected. It's got the little bot flag to it. The bot is called Astro. There is history behind that I am not going to go into. Just suffice to say it's an in-joke from many, many years ago. It should actually be called _Astro, but I'm not entirely sure if you can have an underscore in a bot name. Anyway, I got that particular token from the developer portal, where you can go off and create your new application. You sign up, you create a new app, and then you say, I want a bot. And you type in the thing of the bot, and then you can generate a token. And that can be used then to allow the bot access. You also need to be able to, you also need to be able to give the bot permissions on the particular server, but there's a whole load of documentation about setting all of that stuff up on the Discord help page. So we've got a bot that's running, but it's not really doing much. Let's just see exactly what it does do. Let's interpret the code. Bot is now running. So if the message is ping, reply with pong. So let's just see if we can say ping and see if it replies with pong. Bing! Pong! Right, fantastic. We've got a bot that does nothing. We also have an example framework bot that does nothing. So now we want to mesh these two into some glorious thing that does something. So the first thing we want to look at is just what is this code doing when it goes off. So we pass in this bot token. We're creating a new Discord Go bot with the token that was given in. I just chucked out an error. We add a handler. So if you remember, we had handlers in our examples as well. So this idea that you register something. In this example, we only care about receiving message events. Okay, so and here you can actually see the origins of Discord, the intense guild messages. The whole thing was not originally built just as a messaging platform. So we just want messages because there's various other events that we can listen to. Not going to worry about those at the moment. Open the connection. So that we're now running. This is making a channel. We'll go through Go channels in a little bit because they're quite good fun. And all we're doing here is catching a signal for a sig int or sig term, so we can exit out and close the application. And then the fun thing here is on the message create, where we're taking a session and a message create pointer, and we're doing stuff. So with the session, we can send messages. So with all of that, I think we can now crush the two things into one particular unholy mess. Now you'll have to bear with, I'm used to running code side by side when I'm doing stuff like this, so I can sort of make reference from one file to the other. What I will try and do is, let's try and squeeze on. Let's try. Edit tabs, split right. Can we squeeze this in? Barely. No, not really. Not going to work. Right, let's try top and bottom, and then we can kill the unsplit. I should be learning the keyboard shortcuts of these, but because I always have it split, it's something I never really do. Right, let's split down. Dunk, and then get rid of you. Right, so just have to remember that we're top and bottom rather than left to right. So I've got GoBot, which I'm going to put at the top, and then we've got our example down at the bottom, which we will push into things. So the first thing to consider is that we have this idea of a message create. So we need to make a decision now. Are we going to make this a generic bot that allows you to handle any particular chat system easily, or is this just going to be a Discord bot? And I think for the purposes of this session and for expedience, we're just going to make it a Discord bot. However, there are still some things we can do to sort of head towards that more generic type thing. So we have this idea of content and a channel and everything like that, but we don't necessarily care about passing around these Discord things. And we might want to abstract that out a little bit. So I'm thinking that our handler, which if you remember, bad name, is actually an action. So we should be able to just rename this actions. Yes, I do. And you'll notice it's gone off and changed almost everything. Got a lot of smart IDs. Right. We can have an action handler, something that handles an action. That's fine. This is now semantically better. Semantically better text. However, I'm going to expand this slightly to say that we're going to handle something that's going to take a channel, a user, a message, and a string, and it's going to output. And when we return multiple variables in Go, once around them brackets, we are going to return a string, which is effectively going to be the message that we send back, and for now I think an error. I've been humming and hawing between an error, a boolean, and various other things. So what's going to happen is we're going to wrap or hide away the Discord Go session and Discord Go message create types. We're just going to call each of our action handlers in turn, saying, can you do something with this particular message? And if they can, they will hand us back a string to return to the chat. Now, the reason why I want to put an error in there or have a boolean or something like that is because I want to be able to know whether or not something has returned something useful. Now, I could do that, I suppose, by just returning an empty string, but I don't know. It gives us more flexibility if we can have some control over what's going on. Also, it means that we can centralize things like logging and what have you. So, our handle function for our handler is becoming more complex. And basically what we want to do for our first handler, we can get rid of these two because they're no longer used. Oops, let's go back here. So package actions contains the actions that the bot can perform. Actions will be passed. Current chat details and can return a response. I'm going to say that more than one action can generate a response. Errors will result in a response from that action. So these are various things. I'm explicitly stating the contract that we can then test against later. So one of the other things that we could have done is perhaps have a response type that comes back with a message and a confidence variable as to how confident this particular action is that it can respond to the message at hand. But to be honest, to date, as I've written these things, everything can either handle something or can't handle it. So I've never had cause to put in a confidence. Right, so that's been updated. We've got our handle type. Let's just copy that. Now, the other thing is, do we actually want to have this as an interface, or do we want to just have it as a defined function? I think we're going to have it as an interface because it makes it easier to store state for our actions. So despite the fact that what we're going to do now is very simple, it's going to get more complex. So we're going to just re-implement the ping action. So we're going to have type ping is a struct with nothing on it at the moment. I'm going to have func p ping there, and we don't really care about user because we're not doing anything with that, and in fact we don't really care about channel either. So we can just do that. Don't care about those two. We do care about message. So if message is equal to ping, we can then return pong. Oops. No. Actually, we've got a second. We've got a second thing, and in fact, we do use. I know that the author ID and stuff, we can do that actually when we're doing the handler. So I'm just looking at this if case here. We can handle that before we handle our caller action, so we can just abstract that out. But what I'm thinking is we're going to have. I know this is as two if statements down here, but actually this could end up being an if else. And in fact, with Go, it becomes arguable that you want to use a case statement. So we could do case message. Switch message. And then case ping return nil. Don't know why I've decided to spell nil with 2 L's today. Case pong return bing. And I think actually we're exclaiming this and nil. Now we can then shove in our default case where we return nothing, and I think what I'm going to do is define an error. So errors can be used as types in Go, and you can actually turn around and say, is this of this particular type of error? Oops, wants to be lowercase. So what we can do here is we can actually use that error to turn around and say we just haven't handled this. We don't understand it. It's not a problem that we're using an error for that. Not handled. It's just a way of flagging that we're not doing anything with this. We are the wrong thing to be called, and we can have the controlling process, the farming stuff out to these actions, and just deal with that gracefully. So is returned if a handler doesn't, and that way we can actually check the difference between something's gone wrong and I've returned an empty string when I should have actually done something, and the fact that I haven't necessarily handled this message. Actually, doesn't handle, can't handle. You can't handle the message. So here we're going to return not handled. There we are. So this is our slightly improved ping handler. We can make this even better. We do strings to lower on that. So we're now case insensitive, and let's capitalize everything. Cool. So if I now go off to my listener, let's just handle the chat message by replying bing to pong and pong to bing. And I may expand that later, and I've just had a completely abstract thought on that particular thing. My mind tends to go off on weird tangents. Right, so we're going to go to our reader. Our reader is actually going to die. Let's get rid of... actually, no, our reader is not going to die for now. We're just going to change this to standard in user text, and we are going to say that we've got message equals, and then we can turn around and we can say if messenger. Now Go allows you to do these compound type if things, where you can turn around and effectively say, right, if run this expression, this particular thing, it equates to true. So effectively, if that errors, we can do something. Because this is the standard in one, we're just going to do if it's not errored, print m. So that should have similar functionality to what we were doing before. And I'm going to keep this here just because it allows us to test without necessarily connecting to Discord. But what I actually want is a Discord listener. So let's create a new Go file, Discord. And this is where we do all of this funky magic. So our Discord listener is currently stateless, but I'm still going to I'm going to show on type. Let's just use a function for now. We can always move it. So func Discord, and we want a token, which is a string. And we do nothing, I suspect. Right, and now we can do some wonderful copying and pasting. Oh, we do want to return an error. So, let's take this, shove that there. Lowercase t for that. If the error is not handled, return the error. Now the reason why I'm not doing this as the lovely compound type if thing is because all the variables that are defined up here, if you're doing the compound thing, are only within the scope of the if statement. And I'm going to need this DG type variable later on. Actually, just going to call it D. Idiomatic Go has very short variable names. They get longer the further apart things go, but D for Discord at this point. I don't care that it's Discord Go or anything like that. And if I was to change the library, then I still want it to be D. So add handler, and we're going to need a Discord handler. So we'll sort that out in a bit. Let's just see whether that'll take nil. Yes, it will. Let's just grab that as another cut and paste. Grab that as a thing. Right, so the reason why they're doing this is channels in Go are effectively like channels of communication, they're pipes. So you can send information into a channel. And what they're saying is they are making a channel of type os.signal. So this is something that will respond to signals trapped. And we only want it to be 1 deep. And the reason why it's doing that is because we're only ever going to have one message coming. Personally, I would never specify a size, but then we're asking Signal to notify that particular channel if any of these events happen. And then here we're listening for that particular event to that particular channel to get something written to it. So it's going to block there and wait until we've got one of those signals sent to us, and then it's going to go off and close the Discord Go. My tear's gone cold. That was horrible. Right, I don't want to handle that in my handlers. I don't want my thing to be blocking. So we can just take that. And if that's not equal to nil, return. And then return nil. Now the reason why I haven't just done return d.open is because I want to do something with these error messages. I want to embellish them slightly to say what's going on. So here we're actually going to format.errorf. So this is just a way of creating a new error with the format.sprintf or format.printf type semantics. And we're going to say failed to create new bot. And then we can put in our error. Now this %w token is a new token in Go 1.13, which allows us to wrap an error. So whatever error type, if you remember our handler, we defined this not handled, so that is actually sort of an not handled. We can turn around and say, is it of this type? If I was to wrap that using the %w format here, I can still interrogate this error and say, does it stem from one of these? And has added a little bit more information as to what is actually going on. So we want to embellish errors as they get passed up the stack. Go doesn't really do stack traces unless it falls over in a horrible fashion. So we want our error messages to be nice and descriptive. And here we have failed to connect to Discord. %w. In the olden days, we would have done that, which is %v is just any type, and it would have done toString on it, or done %s, and done that to get the error message. But these days, also %w. So we've embellished those, and that should, apart from the fact we don't have a handler, do things nicely for us. So our handler, let's just call it lowercase d for Discord for now. Our handler has to have this signature. So we should now just be able to turn around and say, right, let's take you. Okay, so we can go down to here. We want to do this. We then want some way of knowing what actions there are. So actually I'm going to turn Discord from a function into a struct, because I'm going to need to do things like pass in the handlers that it's dealing with. So let's just type Discord is a struct. Dunk. Here we're going to say that we've got a new Discord. We don't actually need to return that, so so I'm just now thinking about what the semantics of actually using this thing will be, because if I create a new thing, it can just start. I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn around and say, right, the Discord is just a new Discord. Oops, already got. Let's just bung that in as a placeholder. New Discord is going to return a pointer to Discord. And that's just going to return this empty thing for now. So within our Discord, we're probably going to want a set of actions. Actions are a slice of actions dot action dot handler. And now we can call this connect, shove it on the Discord type, and take again, I'm toying with the idea of what's going on with the semantics behind this, going back to how it was, because we can actually pass. Can we pass this? That handles. That is our handler. Yeah, we are going to need a struct, because we're going to need access to the set of actions. So we're going to take our actions. Oops. Like so. Now we have to use DG, or we can use con. Gets me every time when I do that with functions on things. Right, so we've got that. So first of all, d dot actions is actions, so we're going to store that. Dun, 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 and then we're going to put this on. Oops. Discord. Call this handle. The reason why I didn't call it handle before is because it was within a package and sort of hooked onto the top level of that package, and if every single handler had a handle, you can't really differentiate between them. They can't all be called handle. Now, because with this is within the Discord struct, we can call it handle. So now we can d.handle. Okay. Now our handler can now iterate through our the registered actions. So action range d.actions, and why are you whinging? Space. Then we're going to have message error is equal to action dot handle, and then m channel ID m dot content. Why you on user as well. Oh, s.state.user ID. Cool. So we need to do something with with those particular things now. I'm aware of the fact that we are marching off to the right with our loop. We're going to have an if. But I think we should be okay. I'm not going to do a if here because we're going to run off the end of the line. So if error is not equal to nil, so it is. Ours. I believe it's ours. So this is the new funky error handling stuff. Ours finds the first error in the error chain that matches the target, if so the target. Otherwise returns false. No, we know what it is. So I want to check whether this is. Let's just. Yeah. Not handled. Arguments, of course, because we need to tell it what error. So there we are. So now we're checking that we've got an error, and that error is a. So I'm just getting a shout on YouTube. Speed up, Dom. It's a test of your speed programming skills. I'm going at exactly the right speed. So this is checking to see whether we've got an error, and if that error is not an error not handled. So basically something has gone wrong. And for now, we will just do... Actually, no, let's go even worse. Let's really handle this. Panic. So panic is die, effectively. Most Go code does not want to panic. Panic will rip the legs out from underneath the program and just bring it down. That's the only time you'll actually get a stack trace is when you do a panic. Panics aren't bad, and the reason why I've put that in there is because it's going to remind me later to handle this error correctly. Mainly because if it does panic, I'll say when it does panic, we'll look at that and go, oh yeah, I need to handle that. And now we've got a message. Now we've said that we can have more than one message come back, so let's allow something for that to be added to. Let's let's give ourselves instead of string, and we can turn around and we can say messages equals append. Right, so all we're doing there is we're appending m to our slice of messages. And then at the end of that, we want to send that out. So I'll actually find out what this is what this returns. Let's just, so I'm going to go grab my non-hot drink. So this is going to be, and we want to do something with that particular slice. So what we're going to do at the moment is we are just going to join it together with new lines, I think. Join messages with a slash in and see how that goes. And then we respond with message. Right, what do we get back from you? We get back a message and an error. Not sure I care about the message. I do care about the error. So if we want to deal with that. Now, let's just panic for now. We'll sort that out in a bit. Okay, so that should be our Discord handler working. Okay, so we've got our ping handler. We've got our Discord listener thing, which we need to connect to and hand a set of actions. This I think we're now done with. I think this can go. So I'm just going to call this main 2. Going to get rid of this. Init is run before anything else. I dislike init intensely. There are ways around using init. Don't use the flag thing anymore. Main 2 is in use, I know. Let's go and make this main 1. Right, you're not widgeting anymore apart from an unused function which we don't care about because the compiler will actually compile with that. Okay, so we are going to have no, listeners. New Discord. Then we want to discord.connect. And we want our token, which I'll need to get in a bit, and our set of handlers or actions. So let's just go and define our set of actions here. Actions is equal to a slice of action dot handler, and in there we are just going to put action dot ping. Okay, that's going to be actions. Done connect, don't have to do anything else yet. We probably do want to put a close on there. And now we need to wait. What else to do it? dots. Right. So I'm hoping that's just going to cause us to wait. So the last thing we want is the token. I am going to be incredibly lazy here and just take that as os.args1. So args0 is the program name. Args1 is the first argument. If we don't have an argument, then it'll probably fall over. But for now, that's fine. We'll worry about configuration in a bit more detail. I'm not going to use the flags package. I'm going to use my own package because I'm actually going to want to run this somewhere where I can pick up that Discord token from an S3 bucket. So I've got a config package that allows me to configure things from all different types of places. Anyway, for now, so first not equal to nil. Panic. Lots of panicking going on. Why are you whinging about actions? Collides with a package name. Just call it a for now. Right. Fingers crossed. This should work. So, is the bot still running? Bot is still running. Let's unceremoniously kill the bot. Death of the bot. Bot is gone. Nice try, Tom. But you can see the code, and I haven't quite done the os.exec. Also, you need --no preserve root in that command. But certainly, as an exercise to the listener, you can implement that. So I want to run this. Let's get the terminal up. Don't need the split anymore. I'm not using any reference code. Window, editor tabs, unsplit all. Go run, go bot.go and $bot token. Now that's interesting. That has panicked on line 15 of GoBot, which is here where we're saying os.args1. It's saying I'm out of. I've passed it. Was $. Oh, I know why. I know why. Variables only set in this window. Now, that's failed to authenticate. That's a better error. Let's just, while we're here, export bot token equals there we go. That didn't even... I have no idea why that did that. Anyway, let's have a look and see whether our reader is doing things. I've got a sneaking suspicion it's bot plus token. Passing in the token. The token is coming out from... Right, so I'm going to quickly hide things from view because stupid tokens, and we are... Oh, I know exactly what went wrong. I was just about to rubber duck this. Notice the schoolboy error. I have said -t, but obviously our thing isn't handling flags. Our thing is just taking the first thing on the command line. So actually that's also gone off and run. My sync group is not waiting. That's what's going wrong. My sync group is not waiting. Bum, 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 bum. That's better. So the sync group basically waits until it's reduced down to 0 things. So you would have things tell the sync group that it's done. So that should now be holding things open because I've just added an arbitrary 1 into my wait group. We're waiting for that one thing to finish doing whatever it is because I haven't defined anything to do anything and update that wait group. It's never going to get done. That one will never get taken off. We'll wait forever. Hacky, but it'll do. There is Ash Joe with an underscore this time. Not entirely sure why that's just suddenly been picked up, but there we go. And if we go ping, we get pong. If we go ping, we get pong. The bot is working, and the bot is now working with our new handler type functions, which is good. So, got an hour. We probably want to just add a little bit of testing and stuff around here and make this all just a little bit more robust.
It hasn't said hey Dom.
How did he get that to speak? Or is it because I've got stream mode on? I can see that being abused. Yeah, we'll take it up with him later. Right, so first things first, let's make this do something slightly more educational, which is going to require this, and I might actually just mute because I don't want to get a copyright strike on this. There we go, yoink. Copy that, kill that. Back to our bot. So let's just quickly update things. Now, interesting. Our bot has panicked and died. Probably because it couldn't handle something. Edge case. Well, not particularly an edge case. The normal case, in fact. Discord could go. What are we doing? We are iterating through all the messages, then we are just blindly joining all the messages together with a new line and sending that off. However, if there are no messages, that strings.join is just going to return an empty string, which we're then going to try and pass off to channel message send, and we don't want to do that. So if len messages is 0, we can just return. So that'll stop that. So not only did I get my machine to talk to me in some random and strange fashion, he also managed to crash the bot. Nice testing. Gotta love users. So let's rerun the bot. I need to put a message on there to say it's running, otherwise I'm going to sit staring at that screen. Our bot is running again, and oops, don't want to do that at all. Let's just make sure that dies. Shove you up there. So I don't want to disclose the content of my family WhatsApp to everyone. Quit out of that. Thank you very much. Back to Discord. Try that again. So we go Pong. And the bot says, let's play Pong. Excellent song, by the way. I recommend you check it out. So we've got it doing something. We've got it interacting, albeit in a very dumb fashion. And I suspect people are going to get upset very quickly if this responds to pretty much everything. Now let's just try something. Let's go, hey Alex, and go back over here. We've fallen over again. Why is that? I don't know. We will have to debug that. Or did we run it from up here? No, we ran it from here and it's fallen over. Okay, so let's have a think about what's going on with that. We can turn around and change this guard. And do that. Hopefully it should make it slightly more robust. And we can now turn around and we can say bot is running. How very boring. We may add some more logging later. Okay. Run our bot again. Bot is running. It's going to make no sense to anyone who's not actually watching that. It's still there. Cool. I'm going to leave that running just because I know Alex will want to try and break it, and Tom will probably want to try and delete the contents of my machine again. And we'll let them go nuts. While we just have a look at what it is that we'd need to do to make this slightly more robust before I check it in and move on to the next thing. So the first things we've got is that there's a bunch of panics. Panicking, not great. We may want to handle that slightly better. And I think we will use logging for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a package called Logrus. Go has an inbuilt logging package that is basic to the extreme, and it's basic on purpose. You've got log dot, that's all Logrus. Let's go have a look at the Go doc, because there are far too many things that have implemented their own loggers. GoLang log. Get rid of all the junk. You can see how many different packages there are. So we have log.fatal, log.fatalf and log.fatalun, which are just basically print out the string with the format, and print out the string with a new line, and fatal will exit the program. So it'll log the message and then exit with a -1, I think. We have log.panic. Log.panic has the same sort of things. You can do panicaf, paniclun. And that will log the message and then cause your application to panic and fall over. And the only other thing we have is print, printf, and println. So the idea is that you can either print out a message, or your program can print out a message and fall over, or your program can print out a message and fall over horribly. Now, it has been said in the past that you only need 3 logging levels, which are FYI, OMG, and WTF. I prefer a few more than those, but I find this logging package to be just a little too restrictive. There are errors where you don't need to fall over. For example, if you've got a web server, you've got an incoming connection, and you can't do something with that connection. I want to log an error state on that connection, but my server itself does not need to fall over. It can continue running. And in the same way with the chat messages, something may go horribly wrong handling a chat message that I want to log as an error state, but my chatbot has not gone down. So I don't want my logging package killing my bot. So I'm going to use logly instead, which is a more or less drop-in replacement. Provides a few extra things. So we're going to pull in logly, and one of the things that we can do with actually, let's get it to import it first. Right, let's just go find something else that uses logly and pull in the. I can't remember how to spell it. Actually, we found it with the. We found it with the previous search. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. It's not logly, it's logrous. Wherever I've said logly previously, logrous. Logly is something different. Logly's online logging capture, which I do also use, but for different things. There we go. So logrous, we can turn around and we go logrous.log. Logrous.info and stuff like that. So I'm just going to get that to sync everything in. And what I want to do here is I want to actually alias this because I don't want to be typing in logrous each time. I'm just going to alias that to log. So Go allows you to turn around and say, I want to import this package, but actually call it this. And it's whinging now because I'm not using it. So let's just do that. And we can take this down here. Whoops. Take this down here. Bot is running. Now, log.rf, and we can say failed to connect to Discord. That. But we can also use logrous to produce nicer log messages that can be parsed by things that understand more complex log objects. So we can go log.withfield. Actually, we do with error. Oops. Just needs to be error to connect to Discord. So our log messages become standard, and that will be chucked out with as extra detail. And if you're using things like Logly or Amazon's own log checking stuff, or the other offering from SolarWinds, or whatever else that you want to be using, you can then start searching on the extra metadata that you're passing out. And I want to exit with a non-zero exit code because we've gone bang. Right, this one here. Just going to cut and paste that. That one. You're just going to cut and paste that in. So we can. It's going to be log.with single field, multiple fields. So we can now pass in a map of fields. So we can give it the channel ID, which is m.channel ID. Oh look, we've eclipsed something. That'll be what that funny thing is there. MSG. Oops. MSG there. Right, so m.channel ID. The user ID is s.state.user ID. Do we want to put the message content in? We'll do it for now. We probably actually want to know what the action handler is called. So we can say action handler. Let's 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 say action handler let's just go error handling message. And we're going to expand our action handler ever so slightly. We're going to give it a name function. Name will just return a string. So of the action identifying logs and errors. So the reason why I'm specifying those logs and errors is because we're setting an expectation that this is actually better still probably just call it ID. We're just setting the expectation that this is not human readable, or not meant to be human readable. It's not meant to be displayed anywhere that someone's going to sort of see it. It's just really to allow us to associate an error with a particular thing. So we can put in non-user friendly stuff in there. So our Discord handler is no longer a no, wrong one. Our ping handler is no longer a an action handler because we don't have the name function, but we can just add that, and we're just going to return ping action. Let's go. Alex is saying there's a very intricate rickroll. No, it's not actually a very intricate rickroll. Although now you've mentioned that, we may need to add a rickroll action. We'll see. See whether we get time. So we're returning the ping action, so we can go back to our there was the Discord go, and we can turn around here and we can actually say that our action is action.name, action.id, that's what we called it. There we go. So we've got some extra information coming out. We're in a loop, so we don't necessarily want to return an error here because it doesn't matter that something's fallen over per se. It could actually be that you've got an action that can't handle this message but has a lost connection to its database, for example, and just wants to report that, and this is the first opportunity it has to report that. So we want to be able to put it somewhere that someone can see, but we don't necessarily want it to kill processing for everything else, so we'll log it out. In this particular case, we can't return an error because the handler function that we need to send in, we can't send back an error. So again, we have to log to log a problem. So we're actually going to end up logging a lot of the same stuff again, which is a bit redundant. So we can actually define our fields earlier on. There we go. And then we can turn around here and we can say fields action is equal to our action ID. And then we can log with fields our fields. And then down here we can log with fields. We've used uppercase for all of those, so we'll use uppercase for error. Oops. Learn how to program. So, in this particular case, and we probably want the error in there as well. In this particular case, we're logging out our base set of fields with a couple of extra things. So the action we were dealing with and the error we got. In this case, we're just logging out the error that we've got and those extra fields. No action there because we may have had multiple actions. Although let's do that. We've got our response in there. So if something goes horribly wrong, we should get some more information. Okay, so if I was to run make on this now, it would whinge horribly because we don't have a whole bunch of stuff that the linter wants. So let's just go through and add ourselves some GoDoc. So Discord listener. Oh, actually, don't need to do that. We go Discord listener. Not a huge amount more needs to be put on there, really. We're going to define more things on a on an interface if we need to. So we could actually turn around and say that we can handle more than one chat instance if we want to do. But for now, it's just the Discord listener. Not much more we can say about that. Oops. So again, GoDoc has to be in a specific format, returns an empty needs to connect the listener, so we can then connect to the Discord server. The given token, the provided actions will be used to handle messages. That should be fine for all of that. Our echo handler is no longer even a thing. Okay, it's in Git, so we can we can always pull that back if we need to. Chat listeners to the bot. Let's just make this and see what the linter is going to tell us about things. So you can see there I can still control C. You don't need to put specific code into a Go program to stop it from running. It was just their particular way of holding the program open until at a certain point it got a control C. I've used a different way with a wake group. Later on we may even have a better way of doing it. We will see. So we're going to make this. We're going to have a oops, cannot use action ping literal type. Dun, 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 dun. Let's type handler. What have I done? What have I broken? Right, so a handler has a handle and an ID. So because I gave it the wrong name on that function, it didn't match that interface. So it was of the wrong type. That's better. Right, no tests. That upsets me. We will sort that later. Lots of linter errors. Lots of linter errors. Main2 is unused, so yes, that can go. And in fact, hopefully, interesting that it's gone off to a completely different project once I deleted that file. Let's make that again. Fewer linter errors, that's good. Right, so ping needs to have an exported. You can go away. Ping. Yes, so. So a simple status check to respond to pong to indicate that the bot is up and listening. Ping also understands pong. returns responds with, because it doesn't return, let's go on that, a response with an appropriate message. I believe all of that is true. ID for the action. I may need to turn the linter down just a smidge here. I don't use GCI, which is yet another Go formatter. There's a couple of extra things that it does. GCI is still, as far as I'm aware, sort of in beta. So let's just turn around and say that we don't want that. Thank you very much. There we go. Cool. So we compile, we have no tests. That upsets me. Let's just quickly add some tests. Ping is infinitely testable because we're not dealing with anything to do with Discord. So we can just very quickly turn around and shove in ping test. Some actions.test, and we've got a funky example. Ping.handle, and we can go. Don't care about the action. Let's do the this is an example. Is actions.ping.handle chan user ping. Why have you suddenly gone off weird? What have I done? Or is it just my machine being... Maybe my machine being funny. You're fine. Let's just plow on and see whether it catches up. And we want the output to be bomb. Bizarre. I can't spell either. It's obviously a limitation with the compound if, the curly braces. Confused it. Right, so that's passed. We've got Pong. Now we won't have a full set of coverage on that because we've got another code branch. Let's just do oops. Example ping ID. Concerned that my IntelliSense is getting slow. Alex, I'm going to call on you on the YouTubes. Is it still okay with the video? Wait for him to respond because we're a little bit behind. Okay, plow on. So the example ping ID, in this case we just go format actions.ping and .id. Ping action, if I remember correctly. Let's run everything. Oops, shunk. Spot on apparently with the sound, fantastic. So that's all passed. Now I have a nifty little alias set up with a little utility that I've got installed. So if I go into actions and I type in coverage, Go comes in equipped with coverage tools and stuff like that, and this is just basically taking the output from that coverage and pretty printing it to the terminal. So we can see that there's a bunch of extra things that are not called in our particular tests. Now I could use the example type format in order to test those as well, but it's not really appropriate. I quite often do out of laziness, but let's actually do this properly and write a test for it. So this is going to be test ping handle. Now, if you're doing a proper testing function, it has to follow this particular format where you take in this pointer to a testing t. That is the object that controls the test. And then what I tend to do is spawn a subtest off that, because that allows me to specify a string that's used with this test. And I can be more explicit about what's going on here. Action will respond to Pong. And then you'll notice it takes another function, which again takes a testing t. So we're sort of just nesting these test calls. It means I can put setup code up here if I want to, if I've got to do something once before my tests run, and then I can just run a whole bunch of tests below. I believe also you can run your tests in parallel. So in this particular case, we want sort of this. Let's just take that bit. There we go, shunk. We're not going to do the funky thing. We're going to, which actually means we can get rid of that A. We can just do that. And now we've got a bunch of potential options, and I'm going to do this on a switch statement. I'm going to do it on an empty switch. So an empty switch basically says go evaluate whatever on the case lines. The first case that we may have is that error is not equal to nil. In which case in front of that. In which case we want to fail our test. Unexpected error. I'll go back and spell that properly. Unexpected B. Now you'll notice I'm using %v here, not %w, because unlike format.errorf, where we're creating a new error type and we can do the wrapping, t.errorf is simply just saying that an error has occurred on the error and it hasn't learned the %w placeholder. There's no reason why we want to wrap this particular error. We want to pass the error itself, so we're just going to pass in %v. Other cases that may happen. Case M is empty. I'm just going to t.error. We don't need to put anything in there. Expected response from Pong. And everything else, I believe, is good. But actually, let's make sure we've got the correct response. So as prefix, let us. Oops. RF. Oops. This is an unexpected response from Pong. S. Should give that the string to check. Now, there are testing packages that you can download and use. One of the ones I used to use a lot was... God, what was it called? I can't even remember now. It's been so long since I... GoConvey. So that was in the days before you could do this t.run type thing, and go_convey sat inside a function like this, and you would say convey and then nested different things, which lent itself to a BDD style test output. And I had some nice wrappers around the output that comes from the Go testing tools to give you things like the code coverage, colouring, and what have you. But it was not kept up to date. And when I was doing a whole lot of research on what to use instead, the reason why Go test code looks like it does and behaves like it does is because it is just Go code. Other than this one T type, you don't have to learn a new DSL to do your tests. It's just Go code. And the idiomatic way of testing is to actually just write Go code. If you want to do a BDD style thing, given blah, you can do t.run given the thing function, and then do another t.run in front of nested in that when then, and do your various tests. But this is why I now use just plain old Go for testing things. So that should add another thing on there. Let's just change this so it actually does. Well, actually, let's leave it as is because we'll show the test failing. So you'll know I can either run the test or just the individual segment. So that's failed, as we expected. Unexpected response. Still can't spell unexpected. From button. But if we actually fix that up, and I can tell it just rerun the fail test. I know there was only one of them, but there we go. That's now passed. So the only other thing that we wanted to check was action will ignore irrelevant text. Don't know if I spelled that right. My spell checker has been very slow in doing stuff. I should wait for it to underline if it is a problem. So in this particular case, we want n. Let's just take the whole thing and we'll fiddle around with it. So what we're going to put here is something utterly different, where let's test an initial case. Let's actually include one of the keywords in there. Right, in this particular case, if the error is equal to nil, unexpected when running ping action. Just run running action, we know it's the ping action. And we don't need that, and we don't need that. If our message is not blank, we get an unexpected response. Oops. Now we can check the errors.is and actions not handled. That's the good case. So we actually need a default case in there. So we've got an error, we've got an empty string, but the error is not handled. So we can just fail like that. There we go. So we should now have, if I run this, wrong directory. 100% test coverage in our actions directory. I'm not going to run tests on our listener directory just yet because we can't run a unit test here. We can't run this test without necessarily connecting to Discord, and we may look at refactoring this particular code in order to make bits of it testable, but it may need to be an integration test. So it all makes and builds cleanly. We've got some tests at least on our actions, which is kind of the important side. The listener is just sort of the glue. And we have 20 minutes left. So what we're going to do is we are going to commit this. Commit the directory. And we're going to say that this... Oh, goodness me. It's all a bit squished. Much smaller screen than I'm used to handling. I'm going to fix number 2. Allow bots to connect to and respond to messages. Chuck that in there. Again, git review is not a git command. It's a script that I've written that basically just pushes it up and then opens the page for you, because I am incredibly lazy, and who wants to actually click on a link when you can have the link opened for you. I have saved countless milliseconds with that particular thing. Right, so we needed the build to pass, but in the meantime, let's just go through. And even if I'm working by myself, I will do a quick code review. And this is effectively rubber ducked. So we sit there and just look at what we've changed, what's been added. Is it what we expect? So yes, I turned off the linter on that particular thing. Yes, my Go mod will have been changed because I added some extra things. My go.go has changed, and we are taking out the old stuff that we were doing, adding in our new listener, and we don't appear to have anything that looks stupid in there. There's no format or printfs or anything, so that looks okay. We've got document here, package action, that looks okay. Our handler again looks sensible. Our tests, which we just went through and did, all seem to be reasonable. Now, this is never as good as going through it with someone else, because they will go through it and pick apart stuff. But it can often help if you've got more complex things to just talk it through with yourself about what actually is going on here. We've deleted a whole bunch of stuff. We expect that. And then our listener, which is this struct where we return a pointer to things. Should probably explain the difference between pointer functions and non-pointer functions, but we'll save that for later. So we're connecting, opening the connection, returning nil. We're handling stuff like holding things open elsewhere. Our handle function looks good, albeit starting to get a little long. I'm not entirely sure there's much we can do about that in a sense. I mean, we can split it up if we wanted to, but we want to keep it sensible. And hopefully, by now, our build will have built. Excellent. So, I'm going to tick the approve button. Like I said last time, it's effectively an audit trail. If we end up with multiple people on this project, it's like who went through, who looked at this, who said this was okay, just so you can go back and speak to that person if you've got questions about what's going on. So you can look at it and go, which idiot wrote this code? Oh, look, it was me. Which idiot approved it? It was also me. Merge commit in there, so off that goes. Bish, bash, bosh. And that will also, because I put fix in the commit comment, will have closed my issue. No issues found. So let's create a new issue for the last 15 minutes and make the bot slightly more usable. Require bot name to respond. It'd be best to use bot standard or Discord standard of Bing bot name. Dun, 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 dun. Assigned to me. It's an enhancement. It'll get major if Alex gets on my case about the fact that the bot is just spamming everyone. Let's create that particular issue number 3. So we can go back to Go. I can say get done because I'm happy with everything that's happened. That'll sync everything back up for me, make sure that it's all been committed into main, and delete the old branch was on. And then we can just start the process all over again. Get new issue number 3. Welcome to my daily life of coding. New issue, do the stuff, push the stuff, release the stuff, do done, rather rinse repeat. All the changes is the projects I'm working on and where I'm getting my issues from. So we can do this particular thing in our handler. And what we want to be doing is here. We've already said if the author ID is us, if we're speaking, let's just ignore us. We want to turn around and say that the message needs to start with a particular string. So the easiest way to do it for the moment is to hard code it. So we can turn around and say if m.content and then strings dot has prefix I want to negate that, return. So it doesn't like Ashjo as a spelling. More actions. Let's just save that to the dictionary so it doesn't want you about that. So now we're saying that you have to provide this pling, bang, whatever you want to call it, exclamation mark underscore Ashjo, in order for it to respond. And we can test that quite quickly by turning around and saying, this is where you find out that actually I didn't run the bot for quite a few commands. Okay, something else I want to do is change the log format output. What Logrus defaults to is the number of seconds, milliseconds, I can't remember, from start that things have been running. I also want to know why we've got an empty line there. Anyway, we can sort that in a bit. Meanwhile, let's go back to Discord and I'm going to stamp on Daniel's parade. Sorry, Daniel. By the way, check out Kraken. It is quite cool. They did an excellent talk for us last Thursday, if I remember correctly, and it is on the YouTubes. So when you finish watching that, go watching this. Go watch that if you haven't already. So let's. Do we have a bot test? We have a bot games. Is Ashjo on there? Yes, Ashjo is on there. Let's do that here, as Alex has already been doing. Excellent. So if I turn around and go ping, nothing happens. That's exactly what I expect. If I go Ashjo ping, oh, it's still not going to happen. I don't know if it responds to edited things. No responses whatsoever. Alex is typing something. He's also trying. So, I think Alex may have spotted a. Oh, I know what's wrong. Rookie mistake. Right. So, what we actually want to do is to turn around and have, and I'm just going to do it as a constant to start off with. So a constant in Go is with the const keyword, and what do we want to call it? We'll call it prefix for now. Equals bang underscore Ashjo that. Okay. Now, if we have the prefix, or if we don't have the prefix, return. Otherwise, our message, I'm running out of variable names for messages, there's too many things called message. clips it there. Let's just call it, let's call it content because that's what they call it. Our content is equal to strings dot trim prefix m.content prefix. So the issue was our handler was working exactly as we expected it to. We were sending it the full content and it was not seeing what it expected to see. It expected to see ping, and what we were sending was underscore ashgo, sorry, ping underscore bang underscore ashgo ping. So it was getting the whole string and just not recognizing it. So it was never going to work. So we've now got our content that's changed, so we can change that to content. Change that to content. We shouldn't use that anywhere else, I don't think. Nope. So do that. What I might actually do, just to make this slightly more robust, I'm taking the space off the there, and I'm also going to do strings dot trim space. So that'll just get rid of any white space that's kicking around. So we can, what are you whinging about? I have a green line. No, it's just until it's something up. Right, so we can kill you, run you again. Go across to Discord and go ping, pong. Excellent. And now if I just type in ping, nothing happens. So our bot is slightly less annoying and will now just respond to itself. What we need to do is to start thinking about how we can figure this so that we can actually give it the name that the bot is, and we can turn around and say what we're actually going to do is say exclamation mark and then bot name. And while we're doing that, we'll also take the configuration for the token and maybe a few other things that we want to do. But we'll do that particular thing next week. The last thing that I want to do is just go onto Logrus and grab that. I think that's right. So we can go to GoBot. Oh, I know why I got blank line there. I didn't take that out. Didn't even spot that in the code review. There are some options for this. Yep, that was the right. Keep it right. False colors, disable colors, false quote, disable quote, environment reference colors, disable timestamp, full timestamp. That's what I want. True. True story. Right, let's see if there's anything else we want. Full timestamp, we don't care about timestamp format, it is fine. Disable sorting, no, leave that out. Disable label truncation, no, we'll leave that. Oh, I believe that is new, or I haven't spotted it before. So let's disable level truncation, because I hate the fact that it truncates various level lengths. And then what was the doodad that we were looking at? Now it's deciding not to actually show me any hints. Right, fine, let's just do fill all fields. Oh, here we are. Is it pad level text? That's better. My machine is beginning to suffer. And that is also a Boolean true. just going to shove this in here to give you an example of what those various settings have done. So now we've got a decent timestamp and info, warning, and error. Warning I'm fine with being warned, but by default it doesn't. It truncates things down to error, and I dislike error. So that is a better way of doing things. We can get rid of these. They're just there to show stuff. Shrunk. Let's make sure that everything compiles. Yes, it does. Brilliant. So what have we done here? And it's going to be two separate commits because this particular thing we've turned around and we've said commit file. So this fixes number 3. So fix number 3. False to a certain prefix. False bot to respond to a certain prefix. In that goes. And in this particular bit, that file, just it's just number 3. Improve log output. Okay, let's just make sure I haven't missed anything. Oh, GoSum. Why is GoSum not being updated from? That never got added. Oops. This is the one downside with all the JetBrains IDEs with this nested thing. They don't always pick it up when you commit stuff. You actually have to go in and commit it manually, which is annoying. Which means that if you check out the last commit I did, it might not actually work. It may do. The GoSum is not necessarily required, but you may get different results because you haven't got the exact package versions that I've been using. So we'll just add some. Should have done git status before. That's all good. So we can git review. Chunk. You can tell my machine is beginning to struggle a bit. So we've got a few things in there. Let's have a look at what we've done. So yeah, we added the GoSum. Ironically enough, in the last commit, when I was looking at the Go mod, I'm like, we've added things in there. Why don't we have a GoSum? I should have actually voiced my concern to myself and then gone and looked. We've got rid of that superfluous thing that we didn't spot last time and added the formatter, and we've got this prefix, which we will configure later. And we are setting content and doing various things. So that should be fine. Let's just check if that is built. Yes, it has. I'm Dom Davis and I approve of this commit. Merge that in. Off we go. If I look at my watch, I can respond to the earlier comment from Hasman about you're not coding fast enough, or you need to code faster. I coded at exactly the right speed because it is time in 10 seconds. And to answer his question about log.error and log.warm with no messages in them, they just output an empty line. The log message is the empty string. And you may want that to say that this is a warning message, I have nothing else to add to it, but here are all the bits in the with fields. So it's a little bit of a bizarre form of bizarre behavior if you're just doing it by itself, but it's desirable behaviour. It's sort of the programmer that's at fault if you're getting it with just an empty line, rather than the package, I would argue. Anyway, that is me done for this week. Tune in next Wednesday, where we will make this do more interesting things rather than just as a walking advert for Eisenfunk. And then week 4, we will look at running this on AWS and getting it set up as a Fargate deployment, which will substantially increase my AWS bill from free for everything I'm running to a handful of dollars a month, which is far cheaper than it would have been some years ago. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do all the standard things you're supposed to do. Sorry, I've been looking down here all the time because my camera's actually up here. But yeah, do all the things that you should do. Click on the subscribes, click the likes, come join the Discord, go watch the other videos, all that extra stuff. And see you later. Let's kill the stream.